Welcome to the Principal Podcast, where we talk about how the best professional services firms grow. Whether you're looking to scale your firm or learn from the stories of founders and leaders who've done it, you're in the right place. Join us as we interview the best leaders in professional services. Let's get on with the show. Bob, welcome to the Principal Podcast. Happy to have you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And nailed that one. Bob, tell us the story. What got you into the fantastic world of boards and governance consulting?
Well, half jokingly, half not, I like to say I was too dumb to know I couldn't do it. So I grew up in a family business, and I learned the hard way of how difficult boards can be, especially family business boards, growing up in a family business. Even though the people were great, we would have some very substantive discussions. It was rare that we actually got any real tangible, measurable value from the boards. And so at one point when I was working outside the family business, my father asked me to help him redesign the board. And I thought, how hard could it be? And it took me about 2 years to figure out exactly how to build it, how to redesign the process. The way I looked at boards was the reason why boards don't add the value that most owners expect it's not a people problem. Usually, it's a process problem. So the processes that we've all been told this is how boards runs, it's actually not very effective. So the way we like to think about things in our firm is most companies don't have a board problem, they have an impact problem. And so what I did was I went about trying to figure out how can we change the process and the protocols, because the board was primarily built with all my dad's buddies, his golfing buddies, his hunting buddies, his fishing buddies. And tell me if this doesn't sound familiar. Even though we were a very large family-owned business, it was still family-owned. And so my dad surrounded himself with people that he trusts. Trust is really, really important in this, not only in what we do, but I think for most of your audience, professional services firms, trust is a big, big component of being successful. And so what I did was I just went about trying to figure out how can we extract more value from the board members for our family business, primarily from my father and our executive team, and what processes can we enhance from the traditional processes to extract that value in a trustful, collaborative manner.
I mean, I'm just going to piggyback on one of the things that you mentioned here, Bob, which is trust. I mean, 200%. And I feel we're going to talk about this a bit more in this episode.
Yes.
But like high-ticket professional services firms. I mean, when you sell a high 5 figures, 6 figures, even 7 figures product, service, project, whatsoever, it can hardly do so with someone who doesn't trust you, right? Know your company. So like trust is at the very foundation of everything that we do and our clients do. Tell us a bit more about your clients, Bob. Who is it that you service? Who is it that you help with board governance? Who is it that you work with? Exactly.
Yeah. So we usually deal at the very top of the organization. So we are dealing with the owners. If it's a private company, we're dealing directly with the owners. Many of our private companies are privately held, family owned, or just private or private equity backed. Many of them are private equity backed. And so we're dealing usually directly with the owner, CEO, or both, because sometimes those are the same people. In those cases, for our public clients, which we do quite a bit of work with public companies as well. That varies. Usually we're dealing with the chair or lead investor is bringing us in. And so regardless of who we're dealing with, the trust factor is still critical, back to my original point. And especially where we deal. We are dealing at the very, very top of the organization. It doesn't get any higher than the board. And it doesn't, and so we have to build trust really, really quickly, because we are starting to tweak things at the highest level of the organization. So it's a little bit different than maybe some other consultants where they're coming in maybe at the middle manager level, or at the executive level. We're coming in at the chair ownership level, which is equally difficult, just has some different challenges.
So the $1 million question, I guess, how, or should I say, what has worked for you, Bob, to build that trust, to build those relationships, to get into the boardroom to say, you need my help here?
Yeah.
Is it like your father, golf, fishing, hunting, or do you have other tools?
I wish it was that easy. I enjoy doing all those things.
Doesn't work like this anymore, does it?
No, I think, look, the hard part for us is, having people actually be very open with the fact that we know in most cases their boards are not optimized. I'm not going to say they're bad. I'm just going to say they're not optimized. Okay. And they know it too.
Politically correct.
But getting them to actually admit that when there actually isn't a problem, right? Because we tend to not want to work with the boards that have all these problems, because you see those too, where, the board members, literally, we've been in board meetings, we've seen this, where board members want to physically fight each other. Okay. So we tend to not try and work with those companies. we have worked with them before, and if we have to, we will. But we tend to try and deviate away to the companies that are actually doing really, really well. And so sometimes the board becomes very complacent, and actually the owners, the CEOs, the chairs, the owners of the business, they can become very complacent too, because, hey man, everything's going good. Let's not mess anything up. Let's not go and try and tweak things now. Let's keep this momentum going. Right. So, getting those executives, so that's our ideal client profile, right? And getting those executives that would make the decision to hire us to actually move forward, it becomes very difficult. So the way we start, to answer your question, is we don't start with, you need to hire us, or your board's not performing, so you need to hire us. We don't start there. What we start with is getting a feel from our clients of, what are you trying to do with your board, and where is it not adding the value that you want? And here's some ideas that we'll just give to you. Here, try this, try that, try this. We've done this thousands of times now around the world. So we have some insights and data. We have a lot of data that we can share with people when we first speak with them, that starts to build that trust. It also helps us to understand, is this a real client, or are we just having a really good conversation with somebody that, maybe in the future they might be a client, maybe not. Maybe they're just going to be my new golfing, hunting, or fishing buddy.
I love this.
So
what you're putting the finger on, which I like, and I'm gonna drill a little bit, Bob, if you don't mind, is getting. I mean, it's a discovery phase, right? It's getting the prospect to uncover by themselves their existing problems, their existing pain points, so that they realize that actually, yeah, sure, everything on that side is going well, but actually this problem, and this problem that we're facing in the company are a direct consequence of not managing the board like we should, and now I'm aware of it. So when you think about the marketing funnel, right, it's, okay, being aware of like who is in the market for sure, but then the first layer is problem awareness. Do we even have a problem to solve here?
Exactly.
Before we dig into solutions, authority, trust, booking a call, and so on. So what has worked for you, Bob, to get those CEOs, those boards, to understand the problem that they have, as in the root cause is this, and we need to fix it.
Yeah. Well, usually the root cause, we can identify the root cause of an issue within a board structure within probably 3 or 4 questions. We can probably get to, it's usually going to come down to one of 2 things, maybe a combination of both, but it's usually, there's 2 components that go into what we call a high impact board: the people and the process. And so many times that therein lies the issue. It's going to be a combination of those 2 things usually. And either we have, I'm not saying we may have the wrong skills. I'm not saying we have the wrong people. They might be the nicest, smartest people you've ever met, but that doesn't necessarily make them good on that specific board at that specific time. Because boards evolve, boards need to evolve their skill sets over time as the company grows. So, so sometimes you can outgrow board members very, very quickly. And actually we hope for that to happen. We want to outgrow our board leaders really fast. Even my own board, we drink our own Kool-Aid here. So, so we have our own board. I tell my board members all the time, my goal with each of you, and we say this to every client, every board member that's going on one of our clients' boards, is our goal is to suck as much information out of you as fast as possible. And then come to you at the end of that time period. I can't say when that's going to be, but it won't be like what you see in a lot of public board settings where the average tenure is over 12 years. That is not what we believe in. So what we're averaging just under 5 right now is our average tenure. And we love that because we're able to come to those board leaders at whatever time period in the future and say, thank you. You killed it for these guys. You had so much transformational impact. They're never going to forget how much you helped them. Thank you. But you know what? Now it's time. It's time to find the next board opportunity where you can have that same level of impact, because now when we brought you in, the company was here and we really needed your help to get to here. And now we're there. And now we have a new set of objectives that are up here. And even though you're a brilliant, smart, amazing person, your skill set isn't defined for that. So we're going to need to open up this seat, right? But let's find you the same opportunity again, and let's do it all over again, right? So we do that a lot.
But what if what those guys want is to learn the next step?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're always looking at this from the aspect of, look, there's always a learning component on both sides of what we do, right? So there's a learning component for our clients to learn from their board members, but there's also a very good opportunity. And the best board leaders in the world, they want to learn. Okay. But unfortunately, I'm not paying them. I want them to learn things. I want them to experience new things. I want them to hear from other board leaders things that maybe they're not totally up to speed with like the others are, because there's other experts like them on the board that have different skill sets that bring that expertise. And so you're going to learn from them. But let's be honest, at some point, we've exhausted your skill set. And so just keeping you on the board because you're a super nice guy, we really, really like you, and you've had transformational impact, but the ability for us to maximize your value to get our business to the next level is going to be limited. And you just want us to keep you on the board because you want to learn. Yeah, well, that's just not how we do things. And our clients, at some point, our clients are going to get they're going to get frustrated, and that's unfortunate because I would rather them have the opinion that this was an amazing person that really helped us transform our business. And as the business owner, I saw the impact that they generated firsthand. I don't want to I'd rather take them out right at the top rather than then and for those that have been on boards, even your audience, many of them have probably been on boards or have a board. Y'all know that board member that we all like, we all love that person. They're a great individual, amazing individual person. But we all know they should have left the board a long time ago. No one has the heart to go and tell them it's time, right?
These are not the nicest conversations to have indeed.
Those are difficult conversations, which is why I think we get hired a lot.
It's to go and have the hard conversations.
We're the ones that have to have those conversations.
That would sound fair. Bob, what has worked for you? Okay, let me reframe this question.
Sure.
Everybody wants a piece of the boardroom, and especially PE companies, portcos, large public companies. Everybody wants a piece of them because this is where the money is. They are the ultimate big decision makers. What has worked for you to get in front of those people? And here I'm talking about marketing. And as much as I love, I was going to say hunting, probably not politically correct to say this, as much as I love golfing, but I'm terrible at it, I understand this is not the number one method. So what marketing channels do you use to create new relationships with board members or chairs so that you can come in and help them out? Yeah. What has worked for you?
Well, I mean, look, I'm sure you have a very, very broad audience, and not all professional services firms run the same way or obviously sell the same services. And they're all going in at different levels in different industries. But let me overgeneralize just a little bit. Again, going back to, this is just for us. Trust is the big factor for us. I think that probably resonates, like you said, with most of your audience. And so for me, it's more about the authority and the trust rather than aggressive marketing tactics. I'm not saying that those don't work in a lot of senses, but for us, we haven't found them to work very well. It would be like us hiring an outbound lead gen or sales group to go drum up business for us. What are they going to do? Call chairmen and CEOs of companies and say, hey, your board really sucks. You need to hire this company that we work for. No, they're not going to do that, right? Let's be honest. So what we're really focused on is, within consulting, I think everybody would agree with this, that people hire clarity, they hire confidence, they hire reputation. Okay. We've been doing this now for 20 some odd years. We're running boards. We have data and we've been proven our model in over 3,000 board meetings around the world, 14 different countries. We have a lot of expertise, and we can not only share some of the data that demonstrates that expertise, we can also get our clients to talk to clients that look just like them, and they can give some feedback. I think the other thing that we do is exactly what I described in the beginning, is we don't start with the assumption that we're going to work with you. We don't know if we're going to work with you. We don't know if it's a fit at all. And even when we start working with you, companies can't hire us and just say, hey, we need a board, or our board's not effective, we need to hire you guys. It doesn't work that way. We have to go through a number of different steps to be able to get to the point where we're actually completely transforming the board in that boardroom at that time. There's multiple steps we got to go through to get there. And unless we get there, we never get, unless the clients and we agree that we can help them, then it's a great match. But if we can't agree on that, they may think they really need our help, and through the multiple steps that we do to get to that level, we may identify that, you know what, they're actually not ready for us. That no matter how good a board I build for them with the right people and the right processes, ultimately, maybe the CEO is one of those CEOs, and I'm sure you've run into this maybe potentially as well. The CEO or the owner that knows everything, that guy, right? Or that gal, they know everything. Yeah. The only reason they're not a billionaire is probably because they just don't want the tax liability, right? I mean, that's the only reason, because they know everything about their business, about their industry, about their customers. They know everything. No one can educate them. They know it all. So the know-it-all CEOs, we cannot work with. Usually their boards are the worst performing, but we can't help them.
Bizarre. They know it all.
Right? Well, it's probably because they don't need their board, because they know everything.
Exactly. Sounds about right.
And I think what you're doing is fantastic. I think, and maybe a lot of your audience has similar like podcasting. I think lets people really experience a lot of your thought processes before they ever buy your services. So I would imagine this is good, but I'm not the marketing guru in any way, shape, or form in our business. So you're never going to hear me talk about you should be building these marketing platforms for professional services firms. I'm sure that does work. It has worked for us in the past to some limited degree, but I'm not the expert in that.
Bob, I think, first of all, thanks for the eloquent answer. I like it. I think and I'm not saying this in the bad way, I think you're selling yourself short. I mean, you guys have built something pretty strong and solid. And I think your answer is full of sense, meaning when we are dealing with people who are literally going to potentially make the biggest changes and the biggest impact in their firm, I mean, they're not going to do this with a snap of the fingers. They're going to need a relationship building process, a trust building process, an authority building process. Like, hey, man, I like you. Your swing is amazing. You never, miss a deer, whatever we hunt those days. But like, we're talking about my board here. So like, there is a whole process that goes into this. Something I'm a bit curious to, and we're going to get back to podcast because you opened the door. But I want to ask something before. How much of, when you broke down we're going to first build a relationship, as in we're not even sure we're going to work together. Like we don't even know if that's a fit yet. And the way you describe the whole process, I'm a bit curious to understand how much of this is marketing, right? So like relationship building, trust, authority, versus how much of this is actual consultative selling, right? So it's like, hey, we're not quite at the engagement yet, but like, here are one or two things I've already identified because we have built that relationship, versus what is actual sales and work delivery. Because it feels like the way you described it, the trust building is so important that you're basically going to start delivering the value even before you have an engagement signed. Am I in the right here?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right.
So how do you make that transition though?
Yeah. So look, every client's a little bit different, obviously, right? There's not some cookie cutter approach. And we've struggled with this because trust me, we've tried to find the cookie cutter approach. Because when we bring in new partners, new managing partners to work with us in our platform, we're trying to set them up for success. And, I wish it was as easy as here's how I went about getting all of our clients, or here's how the rest of our team gets their clients, and just follow it. Here's the step-by-step process. I think this will resonate with a lot of your audience. It's usually never like that, right? There are some systematic processes that you can put in place, but for the most part, a lot of these clients are different. Some of them are looking for different things. I think the way we're looking at it is primarily because of the mistakes we've made in the past. And I think, again, this will resonate. When I started building the firm, nobody knew who I was. I didn't have a reputation in boards. As a matter of fact, I kind of got laughed at because, you're going to do what with boards? You can't do that. Nobody does that. Right. Oh, well, then it must not exist. Right. We had no reputation. We had no clients. We had no data. We had no marketing. Okay. All we had was me banging on doors saying, no, I can fix your board. I can fix your board. Right. And so it took a long time to get to that level of learning how to build that trust. And I think that's the really key factor in what's made us successful, is that constantly evaluating, how did that work? How did it not work? What could we have done better? And really looking at In the first conversation isn't a client conversation. It's a person conversation, right? I want to see what are the issues that you're having that I can maybe highlight some solutions for you, right? I'm not giving away everything that we have, but I'm going to give you some very valuable tips. And I don't know where that's going to go, right? Maybe that's going to go somewhere what we're always hoping for is when we have an initial conversation with a client or a prospective client, I should say, and we're looking at them as the individual. We're going through that first conversation for the most part as they're just a person we're just trying to help, a friend of a friend kind of thing, right? It isn't until usually the last 2 or 3 minutes of that initial call that we can identify whether or not we should discuss them being a prospective client. And we don't open that door, we let them open it. And how that's opened is for them to come to us and say, what are the next steps if we wanted to engage you? How would that look? And this is the other thing we learned when we first started. I wanted to come in and I wanted to, once I got that, first of all, I was selling, not doing it the way we do it now. But once we got that hook in of, hey, I wanted a proposal, we wanted to do the whole thing right then and there. Again, we had to learn the hard way that some of these prospective clients that I thought were prospective clients in the early days actually weren't very good clients for us at all. And maybe we didn't lose money, but we didn't make as much money as we could have on our side. And the client really didn't have a very good experience either, which did not help our reputation. So taking on bad clients just to make money, it's not a long-term growth strategy I would recommend. Okay. I think that's going to resonate with most of your audience, right? So I think it's really, really important. We have a multi-step protocol, and every step is a go, no go, right? Yeah. And it allows both the client, once they become a client, and us to say, you know what, we're good. From here forward, you got the rest, right? You got this. We've got a really good way of saying, you don't need to pay us for this stuff, right? You don't need to pay us to be in your boardrooms. Maybe you want our systems. We can supply our systems to you, right? But then the rest is on you. And we've taught you, we've trained you, we've given you all the tools and techniques. You got this. And then we can walk away with a really good feeling that we added a lot of value for them. We made money just like we are always constantly trying to do. And the customer's walking away with, wow, I got a lot of value out of that. And so our reputation continues to grow. Yeah. And we don't have any ill will in the future where, we could have easily seen that this wasn't going to be a fit long term. But we just wanted to make a few more bucks.
Yeah, this is the famous, when people start in business, they will take anybody with a pulse and a credit card, and the pulse is optional. And I feel as you grow and as you understand better who you can help and who you're just going to be a waste of time for yourself and for the clients, you understand that this is not the best people to pursue, and I respect that.
Yeah,
I like the vibe, Bob, which is why I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball question at you now.
Please, love curveball questions.
Oh, what is your number one challenge right now? What's the one nut that you're trying to crack that once you crack, you're going to take the whole thing to the next level? I mean, obviously you guys are already pretty successful, but what's that number one challenge? How are you thinking about solving it? What's on your mind?
For us, it's the biggest challenge for us is scale. Now we've hit what I call the holy grail for professional service firms. We've been able to monetize our data. We've been able to actually take a lot of our thought processes and actually put them into a system platform. Okay, so we have been able to migrate from just being a professional services firm, which, by the way, isn't a bad thing. That's a great thing. You can make a lot of money being a professional services firm just by itself, right? Unfortunately, the downside to that, though, is while you can have a nice lifestyle business, if you really want to scale and expand it and monetize the asset, which is the company at some point in the future, it's difficult to do with a professional services firm because your team walks out every day and those are your only assets that you have. So if you don't have a lot of IP or you can't monetize the data from the work you do, then your value may not be there. And then I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Maybe you just like the lifestyle business. That's fine too. But I did not want that. I wanted to scale our business. And so we drink our own Kool-Aid. We have our own board, as I mentioned. And one of the things they challenged us on was how are we going to scale this business faster than a professional service firm normally scales? Because again, our systems are very, very complex. The sales cycle sometimes takes a very long time. And, tell me if this doesn't sound familiar, right? And we could easily be replaced by maybe another consulting firm, a bigger consulting firm with a bigger name, even though their work isn't nearly as good as ours. You know what? Somebody at some corporation is going to say, yeah, but we never got fired. No one ever got fired for hiring blah, blah, blah firm, right? Yeah, exactly, right? So what we've been able to do is kind of take our professional services model. We added first the technology piece, which was the systems, so that if and when our clients decided, you know what, we don't want the ABA team, any of my managing partners in our boardrooms, they can just use our technology. And we have technology no other company has. You can't get it anywhere else. It's all proprietary to us. And then there's a third component, which is the data piece. So we have data now on all these board meetings, all these board members. We can highlight that data, benchmark it. We can show how to our clients through the technology platform. Here's how your board or board members are adding value in comparison to other benchmarks for our clients globally. And so that all becomes very, very valuable information for them that they don't want to lose. So, but we can migrate our clients from, hey, we just want the data, or we want the technology platform, or we need your services, or we want all three, right? So we've made it flexible for our clients. So that, I think for us, that's been a benefit. However, that also presents challenges, right? This not all rainbows and unicorns. So the challenges we have now still have to come from a scale perspective, because we can't lose sight of the fact that our clients primarily, at least at this point, come in first as a professional services client, not as a technology client.
Yeah.
And that for us is the difficult thing to solve for. Can we, or should we? It's a question we keep having with our own board. Should we look at, is there a way or a model that we can start with the tech first and potentially move them into the professional services model later? I don't know. We're still playing with that model. So that's just like a lot of your listeners and audience, that have professional services firms. I struggle with the same thing they are. Maybe the difference is I actually have a very high impact advisory board, because this is what we do for a living. I have a high impact advisory board, and they are helping. I don't have to figure this out on my own. It's not me and my partners trying to figure this out amongst the small group of us, right? I've got a whole other group I can go to that have built similar models, and they can help us think through how we best do it based on their experience, their relationships, those kinds of things. So we do exactly what we advise our clients to do.
And that's my favorite type of business. When I look at a personal trainer, I'm expecting him or her to be absolutely jacked.
Right.
When I'm looking at a marketing agency, I'm looking at them generating leads the way they say they generate leads for their clients.
Yeah.
If I look into a board advisory organization, their board better be on point, which I suspect is your case, Bob.
Yeah.
This was great. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Bob. If people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
advisoryboardarchitects.com, or find me on LinkedIn.
That is ABA. We'll put all the links in the description. For what I'm concerned, Bob, you've gained at least one new connection on LinkedIn out of this interview.
Awesome.
Me, I've just added you. Thank you so much for coming on the Principal Podcast.
Thank you for having me. Wonderful to be here.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Principal Podcast. We hope you learned valuable strategies to grow your firm and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.
Thank you, buddy.